very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, along with ONNJ political anchor Laura Jones. Good morning, Laura.
Good morning, Ken. Good to be here. We're going to be taking your calls at 888-658-0234. That's 888-658-0234. The day after, the morning after New Jersey Super Bowl. In politics, the New Jersey governor's race.
And I want to take a second to apologize in advance. You see all this? As Pam, our director, said, it looks like a damn Best Buy out there, Ken. This is normally what I have in my home studio. We're together in the station studio right now. And normally this is in front of me, but the camera angle is different and tighter, so you can't see it.
You can't see it.
But because we're on a two-shot here, you can see it. So please excuse this. But if you want traffic and weather and everything else and our tosses, you got to deal with that. So
well, sometimes, you see how the sausage is being made.
Yes, this
Laws
is it.
Sausage.
And I'm just adding 5 pounds of pork right now. Partly cloudy this morning, becoming cloudier through the day. It'll be breezy with highs in the mid-60s. Straight to our dear friend, meteorologist Mike Favetta in a different studio. I throw the ball to you. First check of the Garden State forecast. Mike, we need you here.
Yeah, Ken, it's an early start. It's a breezy start, right? So getting the day early on, it would take an extra large cup of coffee, especially after last night. But still, you might want maybe the hot latte versus the ice today because of that chill in the air, and there's some wind on top of it. So we start off this morning with a high wind watch for northern New Jersey, especially along the counties at the coast, even going right down to Cape May, those counties in tan. There's also some of those breezes expected for the counties in blue. That's where the wind advisory shapes up. That goes for this afternoon into tomorrow morning for wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. So it gets breezy around here in New Jersey. With the temperatures right now starting off at 37 in Morristown, 46 in Newark, a little bit cooler than this time yesterday, anywhere from 7 to 11 degrees cooler than 7:02 yesterday morning. And with the dry air that's in place, it's another very breezy start to the day with more wind expected throughout the afternoon. A few clouds came in last night, made for a beautiful sunrise moments ago. Well, we'll keep the clouds around for the better part of this morning, but into the afternoon, the wind starts kicking up, and already that's creating a wind chill, making it feel like it's below the freezing mark up in Sussex, 31 degrees right now. A little bit more of a wind out of the south returns today. That pushes our temperatures well into the upper 60s, might even touch 70 before the day is through. But look at these winds through the early afternoon, pretty gusty into this evening. Wind gusts overnight into tomorrow. Also quite windy. Could see those gusts again as high as about 50 miles per hour in spots. So a breezy finish to the week as that wind kind of lingers into Friday and Saturday as well. There is that milder trend today, however, where we make it back into the mid-60s. It'll feel lovely. Maybe get up to 67 there toward Trenton, 66 in Newark, and 63 in Long Branch. Lots of sunshine today, and then maybe a passing sprinkle this evening, although I don't think that rain holds together. We're dry throughout the day tomorrow with a cooler start on Friday, down in the 30s, and with that wind, we could see wind chills dip into the upper 20s. Friday evening could have another quick sprinkle, and then heading into the weekend beyond that Friday night rain, it is drier but warmer leading up to the start of the weekend, and then it turns cooler by the end of the day Sunday. So big temperature swings just in the next few days going into the weekend. As far as today, highs climb into the mid and upper 60s, a little bit cooler tomorrow, and then 60s or better. Might even reach 70 by Saturday afternoon, Ken. We'll detail that coming up with your weekend forecast in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. We take a look at some of the traffic in the area right now. We got a lot of it. We're going to start over. In fact, Pam, before you go to that, what you have, we just got this popping up, and this is going to be big as you head into the Lincoln Tunnel. So on 495, we just got a crash alert eastbound, so that's headed into the city west of Pleasant Avenue, Union City. The right lane is blocked. So at this hour of the day, that is usually traffic-y, if I could use that adjective. So to add that crash blocking the right lane on 495 as you approach the Helix, Union City, that's going to be an absolute mess. So we'll get a camera shot for you in just a moment. Let's go to the New Jersey Turnpike right now. Take a look at this. This is an accident, a crash right at the toll booth, right by the police. If you're going to have a little fender bender or whatever with your car, you don't want to necessarily do that with the guy, the good folks from the New Jersey State Troopers behind you. But nonetheless, that happened. That is an interchange for Route 73, Mount Laurel Township. That's blocking one lane, not causing any kind of massive delays, but you can see the police Going to get out and have a little conversation. License
Have a little
registration, please. Also, we have over in Union Township, Route 124 eastbound, there is a water main break, and that is blocking the right lane of 2 lanes. Right now, also Route 4 eastbound from Hackettstown Ave in Hackettstown to east of Queen Anne Road in Teaneck Township. All lanes are open, but that's about a 3-mile delay, just volume at this hour. We go over to the Hudson River approaches. Lincoln Tunnel is reporting 35 minutes over right now. The Holland's only 20. That's a good deal. GWB upper and lower level, 80-95 approach, heavy but moving. You can see some kind of a flashing light activity there on the left side. That's the lower level. Upper on the right, we're told right now that's about a 35-minute crossover time either way.
And that's the route I take to get my daughter when I go to see
now
her in New York.
we
I
can
see.
watch.
You can watch
Creepy.
when I'm crawling.
Not creepy at all.
Crawling, it's always that. All right, well, the big news today, that is the New Jersey gubernatorial election. And Democrats scored big in the battle for New Jersey's governor yesterday. The votes have been counted, and Democrat Mikey Sherrill will be the next governor of the Garden State. During her acceptance speech, Sherrill said, one reason why Ciattarelli lost is that he did not stand up to President Donald Trump when he terminated the Gateway Tunnel project, resulting in the loss of thousands of jobs for the region.
And as the president is backing away from this ideal, cutting SNAP, ripping away health care, terminating Gateway, we here in New Jersey are bound to fight for a different future for our children.
Leaned into her military experience in a campaign that the GOP hoped would spoil the Democrat narrative that voters are turning against Trump. Sherrill will be the first female Democrat to hold the powerful role of governor of New Jersey. She and Lieutenant Governor-elect Dale Caldwell will take the oath of office on January 20th.
And the time now 7:07. Meanwhile, Jack Ciattarelli conceded defeat to his Democrat opponent, albeit at a bit of an inopportune, maybe even awkward time. Just 2 minutes into Mikey Sherrill's acceptance speech, Jack Ciattarelli decided to begin his concession speech, stepping on the governor-elect's special moment.
Moments ago, I called and congratulated Mikey Sherrill and gave her my very best wishes. Gave her my very best wishes in hopefully solving New Jersey. And listen, guys, nobody is more disappointed than I am. But I'm proud of the efforts of my team that are here tonight. As John F. Kennedy once said, life's not always fair, but I am proud of the effort we put forth. I'm proud of the message we communicated each and every day.
Well, of course, this was Ciattarelli's third run for governor, and he did gain over 100,000 more votes versus 2021. That's something we were talking about last night. Did he lose votes since 2021? He actually gained about 120,000. But Mikey Sherrill gained, well, not that she gained, she didn't run in 2021 for this position, but she had hundreds of thousands more. I mean, the turnout for Mikey Sherrill was just enormous. It was just impossible to catch up against that kind of groundswell. So his loss this time was so profound that it appeared to have pulled away votes from fellow Republicans down ballot who were running for positions such as the New Jersey State Assembly.
Yeah, and that's it. All 40 state assembly districts were up for grabs, as there are 2 members elected per district, so that's a total of 80 candidates elected. Democrats maintained their hold on the lower house, and they may have even picked up a few seats. Also, there was a special election for one state Senate seat yesterday in northern New Jersey's 35th legislative district. Democrat incumbent Benji Wimberly, who was chosen by party members to take over the seat when Nellie Poe moved up to Congress last year, appears to have defeated Republican opponent Frank Filippi of Patterson for a full term.
Meanwhile, over in Jersey City, 2 Democrats will take part in a runoff election December 2nd as neither candidate received the mandatory 50% of the vote to win. At least one of those names is probably known to you. It's former Governor Jim McGreevey. He will face James Solomon in that contest. In Jersey City, you have to have 50% to avoid a runoff, and neither candidate there had that. But that's what's going to happen. So December, we'll have another election to look forward to.
That's, we joke that New Jersey should be called the election state because we're always about the next election, and there's always an election.
Exactly. Well, speaking of elections, our neighbors over in New York, get used to pronouncing the name, and let's get it right. Mamdani. I think we're going to have 4 years of Damani, Mumduni. It's Mamdani. Think like mom as in mother, and Donnie as in Donnie and Marie.
Okay.
Mamdani.
Okay, that's an easy way to remember.
That's the way I remember.
Mamdani.
The 34-year-old Democratic Socialist, self-proclaimed, is New York City's mayor-elect in a nasty slap against former Governor Andrew Cuomo last night during his victory speech. I watched this as I got home. It was on 11 o'clock, 11:30. Mamdani said he hoped it was the last time he had to mention Cuomo's name.
I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name.
Well, yikes! It appears
no love lost.
No, it appears the far left winner scored enough votes that even if Curtis Sliwa had dropped out of the race, as everyone said, Curtis, you are the spoiler. Mm-hmm. Even if he had dropped out of the race, Mamdani still would have won by a few thousand votes.
He was over that 50% threshold,
Exactly.
so there just was no. And he actually underperformed coming into it. Polls got that wrong. Nowhere more did they get it wrong in New Jersey, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. Over to Virginia, Democrat Abigail Spanberger won the governor's race, defeating Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears to give Democrats a key victory heading into the 2026 midterm elections and make history as the first woman ever to lead the Commonwealth. Also, Democrat challenger Jay Jones defeated Republican Jason Myers to become the state's first black attorney general and a complete Democrat sweep of the Commonwealth's statewide post. Jones was criticized for texting his desire to put 2 bullets into his political opponents 2 years ago. But many voters had early voted by the time information was made public. Democrats also retained control of the Virginia state legislature.
Amazing concession speech, though, by Winsome Sears. She was extremely gracious and humble, and said that she called Abigail Spanberger and said, I got a voicemail, and the audience started oohing, like as if like she won't take your call.
Right.
And Winsome said, but in due deference to her, she was kind of busy, which was kind of cute. And she said, I left a voicemail just saying, please, please remember all of us and be the governor of all of us. That, as humble and kind as that was one of the things that many people who are Monday morning quarterbacking are criticizing Winsome Sears about.
They're
that
criticizing
she was
her.
too kind, too soft, not aggressive
throughout the
enough.
campaign. Right.
Abigail Spanberger was quite aggressive, and Sears simply was not. I don't think we'll see or hear anything from her again. Something tells me that that'll be it at that point. But nonetheless, before we go to break, though, we should just hit the California Prop 50.
Californians voted in favor of Proposition 50, an amendment that allows temporary changes to congressional district maps as a response to the redistricting that was done in Texas. California Governor Gavin Newsom mentioned the Prop 50 victory in a victory speech last evening, stating how proud he was of the work that the people of the state of California did to send a message to President Trump. The new districting law would likely give California 4 or 5 more Democrat House seat pickups as it gerrymanders districts to ensure Democratic victories. Many on the right believe the real reason for redistricting is to punish Californians who strongly supported President Trump in last year's election. Republicans in a number of red states are now threatening to redistrict as well. That would easily outdo the expensive effort by the Golden State.
And quickly, other news now, at least 7 people are dead. Others hurt after a UPS cargo plane crashed and burst into a massive fireball. This was shortly after takeoff from Louisville, Kentucky yesterday. Take a look at this awful video of the crash. It appears to show the plane taking off with fire on one wing and a huge fireball erupting as it hit the ground. Do we have that video? If not, we'll do this story. We'll do this story next break, because this is awful, and this is impacting the entire city of Louisville, which you're very familiar with.
I'm from Louisville. Schools are closed today. It's an industrial area, airport, but there are homes nearby. The shelter in place was issued for a 5-mile radius. It's down to a 1-mile radius. Shelter in place. 11 people injured. They're still trying to determine. The governor of Louisville, the governor of Kentucky is there on site, trying to determine if it were who exactly perished. If it were people on the ground, on the plane. It's still very much an active site. Very, very sad.
That plane was loaded with fuel upon takeoff, and so it was a big fire scene. So we'll definitely talk more about that during the broadcast. Right now we have a temperature of 39 degrees, 713, partly cloudy this morning, becoming cloudier through the day. Breezy highs in the mid-60s. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings, and we're coming right back.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
This teamwork thing on a nice set together.
Tag teaming.
Yes,
in
teamwork,
person.
Teamwork. Not that you're going to be thrilled if you would have to get yourself in here every morning at this
It's
hour.
A little early. It's
yes,
a little early.
I'm used to it. I've done this for 35 years of my life. I've gotten up at the majority of my life at this time.
And I stay up late, watching all the election results come in, and I'm still up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, still scrolling and trying to catch up. It is.
Perfect yin and yang.
It is. Although last night neither of us got any sleep.
No, there's no such thing as sleep.
We're running
here.
on caffeine.
Amen to that. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday. I'm Ken Rosato, and right now it is 7:18. We'll take calls at 888-658-0234, and straight to another man who didn't get much sleep, meteorologist Mike Favetta, who worked right with us last night with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Ken, I was pumped last night, had the big pot of French press going, and then when everything was called so early, I was like, oh, now what do I do with all this energy?
Right. Yeah, that's
but here we are. We'll redirect for a beautiful day today. We've got lots of sunshine ahead, but a breezy afternoon in New Jersey, and with temperatures climbing into the mid-60s, beating yesterday's highs by at least 6 or 7 degrees, it'll feel lovely throughout the first part of the day. It gets a little windy, though, later on this afternoon, especially into this evening with those gusts as high as 45 miles per hour this evening, gusting up to 50 miles per hour tonight, hence the high wind watch at the coast, a wind advisory elsewhere across the state. Nothing more than some high thin clouds right now, making for a very pretty sunrise, and then we'll tap into more clear sky today. There's a little bit of wet weather off to our north and west. Most of this scoots by to our north. It actually drags up some warmer weather into this afternoon, helping helping temperatures climb into the mid 60s. And a lot of that warmth sticks around through Saturday. So while it's a little bit cooler throughout, especially the early mornings on Thursday and Friday, we make it back into the upper 60s, might even touch 70 in spots by Saturday afternoon across the state. Sunday has the better chance of seeing a quick passing sprinkle, but still 63, well above average for the second weekend in November. And there's our chance of showers by Sunday. There is a hard freeze ahead about 5 days away. It shows up on the 7-day pretty vividly. We'll show you that coming up with a complete check of your weekend weather and next week's with the 7-day forecast, Ken. And Laura, that's in a few minutes.
You know, I still have one tomato plant outside with 2 tomatoes on it.
Yeah.
And this morning I looked outside at it, the tomato had fallen. I was like, hey, take me in.
You know what you can do with the tomatoes?
What's that?
You wrap them in, well, not that we have bags in New Jersey, nor do we have bags, but you can wrap them in a brown paper bag, put them away, and by Thanksgiving they will be ripe.
Oh, look at that. See? Or do what the good Southerners do and make some fried green tomatoes.
You can do that
Nothing
too.
wrong with that. They're
do
yummy.
that,
All
yeah.
right. Now I'm hungry. Mike, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you, buddy. It is 39 degrees now in Trenton. And in terms of traffic, take a look at the 495. This is the Helix making your way. Look at that. Bumper to bumper as you make your way into Manhattan. And that is just an absolute mess. That stretches back about 1.5 miles right now. And that's going on because we have a crash eastbound west of Pleasant Avenue, Union City, with not one, not two, count them, all lanes blocked,
Not
folks.
so pleasant
No.
on Pleasant Avenue.
Exactly, unpleasant avenue. Of course, you can see the bus lane on the left there, which is part of the westbound side. They take the rightmost lane of the westbound side. Those buses are moving great. So if you want to get in, that seems to be the only way to get in right now. And the lanes on the right are actually a local street. That's not the highway. That's the approach to the highway. It's those jammed vehicles in the middle. They are stopped. So we'll keep an eye on that and let you know what happens. We have a water main break too on 124 eastbound, and that is in the vicinity of Route 638 Union Township with a right lane blocked. We have delays on 280 westbound by I-80 Parsippany Troy Hills. All lanes are open, but that's about a 3-mile stretch. And the GWB upper and lower levels right now, we got 2 left lanes blocked, and look at what it's causing. There you have it. So the upper level, which normally flows a little bit better than the lower, is now just as bad. Look at the people in the leftmost lane. They're not even moving there.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a 35 to 40 minute crossover time. GWB, Lincoln Tunnel's 35. Holland, still your best bet at 20.
All right. That's never a fun commute.
No.
Never a fun commute. All right, well, back on to the big news in New Jersey, and that is the race for Governor Mikey Sherrill handily defeating Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Now, during last night's election night coverage here on New Jersey, we spoke with Montclair State University President Dr. Jonathan Capel about what a Sherrill victory meant for the state of New Jersey.
And we have Dr. Jonathan Capel with us still from Montclair State University. And when you hear certain large media outlets already calling the race for Sherrill, that would indicate what to you?
To me, it's a reflection of the turnout, interestingly enough, because when the numbers started coming in early that there was turnout, as you know, record-setting turnout, but it seemed to be tracking the partisan registration divide in the state, which, as you know, there's a Democratic registration advantage. And so if Republicans and Democrats are sort of voting in equal numbers at a high level, that's gonna indicate that the Democratic candidate is gonna do well. And it speaks to the nature of contemporary politics. Like, people think about politics as being persuading the undecided in the middle. And that's part of it. That's part of it. But at this moment in time, it's really as much about getting your own folks to be excited and head out to the polls. And so I think both campaigns were really focused on that, and I think that's partially why we're seeing a result so quickly. Is that
Right. Well,
that people were motivated to come out and support their candidate.
I believe it's more than 800,000 more Democrats than there are Republicans, and
Right.
there's a huge number of unaffiliated voters as
Right.
well, which both campaigns really go for that. And traditionally, Democrats do better with their get out the vote effort. More Republicans tend to turn out on election day to vote, whereas the Democrats are really, really churning it out in that early voting. But you don't know until
although
they start
interestingly,
to
that
open
interestingly,
the tallies.
the early voting, the Republican turnout in early voting was strong.
Well, it was stronger than it was last time
Right.
around, but Democrats still, they far outnumbered
Right.
Republicans.
My understanding is, and again, all of these things will come into clearer focus in the days ahead. My understanding is actually the unaffiliated voters had less of a spike in voting than the registered Democrats and Republicans, which again, there'll be exit polling, there'll be analysis. But one of the interesting questions is in an election environment where you're really focused on motivating your base, right, and getting your people out to vote, does that turn off people in the middle who are saying, like, look, I'm not committed to one team or another. I don't like the way politics has become. It's possible. So it's interesting to see very high turnout in
Right.
two groups that are affiliated and maybe a slightly less accelerated turnout for the unaffiliated.
And then also just looking at the national picture as well, President Trump he exceeded expectations while New Jersey did still vote for Kamala Harris.
Right.
He made a lot of inroads in places that were heavily Democratic before and picked up, certain groups of voters. So people were really thinking, wow, this bodes well for Jack Ciattarelli coming into this election
Right.
cycle. But when it played well for a Republican coming
Right,
into this cycle. But, when you had somebody like Jack Ciattarelli, who, at one point didn't support Trump, then did support him, kind of going back and forth, in the primary you had Bill Spadea, who was very much a big supporter of President Trump. Can you talk just a little bit about how, those national trends really factored in and how the Trump factor was such a factor?
Look, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion about how the Trump effect got onto this. What I'll say is this: I don't think it's possible to analyze this election without discussing how it fits into the national scene. I don't think we're not gonna figure this out in the next 5 minutes. But I don't think you can view the New Jersey election as being disconnected from national politics. I think everybody would agree on that.
Sometimes, or many times, I should say, in the past, what we've seen is people coming out in the off year and they vote for the person at the top of the ticket and they tend to ignore everything below.
Right.
You just see the huge disparity in the number of votes
Right.
cast.
Right.
We haven't seen all the numbers. We see some of them coming in right now. We have every single state assembly seat up for grabs. There are 40 state assembly districts, 2 people per district to be voted for. It'll be interesting to see what the turnout is here, but do you think people understand how essential it is to vote for their representatives, their state assembly, their state senate when there is a Senate year? This year we only have one person special election for the Senate. But do you think people grasp the importance of that and not just the top of the ticket?
Almost certainly not. So my academic background is in political science, so I'm happy to talk about this stuff. That the phenomenon you're talking about is generally called roll-off, right? When people vote at the top and then don't vote down ballot. I think people don't appreciate the significance of what we call down ballot elections. So the legislature, certainly true. Even more true is the local races, the school boards, the commissions. All of these positions, council, all of these positions have a huge impact on people's lives. And one of the things when we're cultivating sort of civic awareness is to say, hey, there's more to it than the presidential election or the congressional election or the gubernatorial election. Pay attention to what's happening in your town. And people say, well, my vote doesn't matter, my voice. Boy, in those elections, you're talking about votes in the hundreds sometimes, or thousands, where people do lose elections or win elections by 5, 10, 30 votes. And they make a huge difference in terms of what happens to your family and to your neighborhood. And it turns out that the people who are elected to the council, they end up in the state legislature and they end up running for governor, like Jack Ciattarelli. So I strongly encourage people to pay more attention to those things and get engaged, because that's when you get the feeling of efficacy, right? That your vote really changes public policy.
All right. All right, that was Dr. Jonathan Capel last night. He is the president of Montclair State University. He was amazing. His analysis was just unbelievable. Great to have him on. So it is currently 39 degrees here at 7:29, and when we come back, we're going to speak with the host of Energy Matters, on New Jersey's Jeanette Hoffman about what a Cheryl wind will do to the cost of energy in the Garden State.
That's right. The phone lines are open, and we're going to take your calls at 888-658-0234. That's 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy this morning, becoming cloudier through the day. It'll be breezy with highs in the mid-60s. The full Garden State forecast with meteorologist Mike Favetta in just a moment. You are watching On New Jersey Mornings, seen daily on ONNJersey.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. That's
and now we're streamed live on Substack, Rumble, Twitch, and Local Now. If you can't see us, there's a problem. We're coming right back.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
Good morning. 32 degrees now, 7:31, Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. Ken Rosato along with Laura Jones, and straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning.
And an inside look at the hottest watch party last night for On New Jersey. This is from my living room.
Come on.
God, you
10
can't
months
get
old.
cuter than that.
And Antonina was glued to the TV last night. So props to you guys for providing amazing coverage all about the
We
New
were
Jersey
some good
races.
babysitters last night.
Why couldn't listen? If I was invited, I wouldn't have been sitting here. I would have been there watching Nino.
Yes, he's a very he was glued until 10 o'clock last night. Could not get him down. So excited about the coverage and democracy moving forward, right?
Yes.
All that and maybe a bottle. But our forecast tonight, looking through the rest of the day, yes, it's going to be very, very mild this afternoon and breezy at the coast. If you find yourself walking along the boardwalk or the promenade, you will feel that wind rushing in from the south, providing mild air this afternoon, but also very breezy conditions. Wind watch criteria, meaning we could see gusts as high as 50 miles per hour. We're running a few degrees above average. Today, if we make it into the mid-60s, we'll be about 5-6 degrees above our average of 59 degrees. Some clouds that are around this morning don't last very long. I think it'll be a mostly sunny start, and that will help push in those not only higher wind gusts, but also warmer temperatures throughout the afternoon. So the futurecast showing that wind rushing in from the south. You can see that wind direction here, blowing with temperatures getting as warm as 67 and even all the way up in Hackensack. It's going to be a mild but breezy afternoon. Keep it sunny today. Chance of a sprinkle tonight, but it's all about the wind direction switching into tomorrow. That pushes in a cooler wind direction, and that breeze will help us cool things off into the 50s only tomorrow. So a big change in temperatures even through Friday. We start off in the 30s. Couple that with a wind chill, it'll feel like the 20s Friday morning. So pretty chilly weather on the way briefly, and then it warms right back up into our weekend. So here's the warm air that's in place. The cold front sweeps through, dries us out, turns us cooler and clearer into Thursday and Friday, and then the air turns still going into Friday afternoon. Friday night, we have another round of rain which wipes across New Jersey, gives us a good soaking briefly later Friday night. If you have Friday evening plans, you probably want to bring along the umbrella. And then for Saturday, there's some spotty showers around, but that's typical with a very unstable warm air mass that'll make it almost feel humid for Saturday afternoon. Sunday, our next front comes through and dries us out yet again. So a little bit of a mixed bag over the next few days with big temperature swings going from the mid 60s today, maybe near 70, cooling back down into the 50s throughout Friday, and then almost near 70 again by Saturday. Some breaks in the clouds maybe for a sprinkle on Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday, we are down, starting off in the 30s, climbing only to the 40s. So a big chill arriving in about 5 or 6 days. So enjoy that mild trend even at the shore while you can. Even though there'll be a few clouds with the milder days, there is still some relief with some breaks of sun in there on Sunday. And then the chill settles in even at the beaches by early next week. Ken and Laura?
All right, very good. I still say you should also end with a shot of Nino. I think that would be appropriate. That should be your bump. We don't need the 7-day. We need Antonino.
More Nino.
That's it.
Babies and puppies.
Nothing wrong
Everybody
with
loves
those.
babies and puppies.
There was a
You
point
can't get
9
enough.
months ago he had both.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, we'll check back with you in a little bit, but I appreciate you. It is 39 degrees right now. Take a look at traffic. We have quite a bit of it. Let's go over to 495. Are we doing 495? I'm sorry, my mistake. We're 46. I'm sorry. And now it went away. So let's do 495, of course. Of course it went away, as we were going to say it. I could tell them while you're getting 495. That crash we were going to show you is on Route 46 westbound
You
by
should just turn your
Browertown
iPad
Road.
around.
Exactly. Well,
You've got
but
them
it's
all.
not there
Oh,
or
that's
here.
true.
It's the
That's
same
true.
feed. It's see, she's not usually on the morning show.
I'm
She has
not.
but we appreciate you nonetheless for getting up early with us. So this is 46. No, 495 is out too. All right, I'm just going to chat traffic. 46 has a crash westbound by Browertown Road, Little Falls, with a left lane blocked. 495, which we had a great camera shot a minute ago, and that it's not even us, it's the system. 495 eastbound west of Pleasant Avenue, Union City. All lanes are blocked. Now, we showed that a few minutes ago. It was parked, and that's on the helix right after the Route 3 495 merge as you're making your way to the Lincoln Tunnel. That's about a mile from that point to the Lincoln. So now they're saying it's about 45 minutes from that point to get into Manhattan. Don't know exactly what's causing that. Apparently, it said a crash earlier, but it's not being more distinct than that. We have a water main break, Route 124 eastbound in the vicinity of Route 638 Union Township with the right lane blocked. And on the turnpike, we have delays now. Hudson County Extension eastbound outside the entry of Interchange 14, which is by 78 Newark, and that is all due to volume, causing about a 3-mile backup. Right now, your Lincoln Tunnel is still about 35 minutes to get over into Manhattan, and your Holland's your best bet right now. It's we're talking about 20 minutes. It's been that way all morning. See if we do. Yeah, there we go. We have the 8095 approach to the GWB, actually moving better than it was. When you see that movement at this time, that's about 30 to 35 minutes.
About that. All right. We are going to take a look now at New Jersey's race for Governor Mikey Sherrill beating out Jack Ciattarelli. And looking at the key issues that shaped this year's gubernatorial race, the one that affected every New Jersey household was the cost of energy and the energy crisis. Joining us now is Jeanette Hoffman, president of Marathon Public Affairs and host of On New Jersey's Energy Matters. Jeanette has spent the past year talking with industry experts, policymakers, and community leaders about the future of New Jersey's energy landscape, from affordability and reliability to clean energy investment. Good morning, Jeanette. Good to see you.
Hi, guys. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, we're good. We're good. I don't know. You probably didn't get much sleep either. Let's first, before we get into energy, just, Mikey Sherrill, Jack Ciattarelli, going into it, we were reporting everybody neck and neck, but this was, a 13% margin that Mikey Sherrill beat Jack Ciattarelli. I just want to get your reaction to the numbers from last night.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, nobody predicted that big of a margin for Mikey Sherrill. I think one poll, the Zogby poll, like last week, had it that big, and everybody kind of laughed that off because everyone thought it was going to be a nail biter. It was neck and neck, down to the wire, and then we saw these huge numbers. And I just want to say, Jack Ciattarelli, by 2021 standards, he would have exceeded his vote goal. He would have won. He would have beat Phil Murphy at this point. But Mikey Sherrill really turned out a huge vote margin, specifically in those urban cities and the core Democratic voters. So kudos to her. She really had a big turnout and a big win. I don't think anyone predicted a 13 vote margin for Mikey Sherrill. And so, I think Jack ran a terrific retail campaign. Nobody worked harder for the Republican Party, but in the end, it is Governor-elect Sherrill that we're congratulating this morning. And energy was probably the number one or number two issue. Affordability overall was the umbrella issue, but energy was very specific. And I think Mikey Sherrill was the first one out of the gate holding a press conference saying she is going to freeze energy rates in New Jersey.
Let's see if she could actually do that now, because even Phil Murphy said that's something that he wasn't sure could be done, but maybe she knows something we don't know. And just to emphasize what you had said in terms of what would have happened 4 years ago with these numbers, Jack Ciattarelli gained 122,000 more votes than he had 4 years ago. Remember, he lost by about 80,000 votes 4 years ago, so he would have won ostensibly, as you said, by 43,000 votes if it were a repeat of 4 years ago with the numbers. But yet Mikey Sherrill, as you said, the ground game was huge. She played it kind of close to the vest. She didn't do a lot of appearances on TV. She was on the friendlier outlets like MSNBC, but she didn't do a lot of the more conservative or mainstream outlets. And as a result, I mean, that worked for her. It worked for Biden too in 2020. But it's just interesting to see the numbers that she got, which were astronomical, probably higher than any other person running for governor in the history of New Jersey.
Yeah, and if you look at the exit polls, and if you can believe them, I don't really trust polls at this point in time, given what's just happened. But the exit polls that I saw said 71% of Sherrill voters said they voted for her because she was against Trump. So these are people who don't really pay attention to actually the issues and are just voting one way, and it was a referendum against President Trump, which, I think is unfortunate because what happens in the State House goes far beyond Washington, D.C. policy. They control our property taxes, our energy bills, as we're talking about, our school funding formula, and so much more that has absolutely nothing to do with what's happening in Washington, D.C. But going back to energy rates, she pledged on day one she is going to freeze energy rates for all New Jersey residents. Now, Jack Ciattarelli would have told you, wait, we don't just want to freeze energy rates because they're 20% higher than they were last year. We want to lower them. And Governor Murphy has said, well, you can't really do that. But let's see if she's going to do it. In the polls, actually, more, again, which if we can trust the polls, more New Jersey voters trusted her to handle energy rates than Jack Ciattarelli. So we'll see if she can do that. She's been very vague on specifics. She said she'll modernize natural gas. I don't know what that means. I don't know if she wants to bring more natural gas onto the grid. Natural gas is very important to keep energy costs down because, as you remember, Phil Murphy didn't bring natural gas onto the grid, so we have to buy it from other states, which makes our energy more expensive, which is contributed to energy rates increasing.
I mean, Jeanette, this is a really complex topic when it comes to the energy challenges in the state. Affordability, of course, that's always the top issue, and it has been. This is nothing new. No matter who's running, that is the number one issue. But can we talk just a little bit about how the energy challenges? It did affect the outcome of the gubernatorial race, and what I mean is, I was taking my one son to go vote, and he's freshman in college. He's like, well, what do the candidates stand for? And I kind of went into that reporter mode, and I would say, well, Jack Ciattarelli is saying this, that, the other, and Mikey Sherrill is saying on day one, I'm going to freeze your energy costs. But again, what does that mean? So can you just talk a little bit about, what does it mean? I mean, now, she's won. You've got to roll your sleeves up and get to it. It really just isn't as easy, even if you can wave a magic wand and, freeze energy costs really isn't that easy. It's a lot of layers, a lot more complex.
Yeah, it's very complex. And Mikey Sherrill has said she's going to tell all the utility companies. So that's, your JCP&L, your PSE&G, your First Energy, all those companies that you see on your energy bill, right? She's going to tell them you have to freeze your energy costs, right? And not increase them anymore to residents and customers. But that's not that easy because they're not the ones who are charging the rates. They're just buying the energy off the grid, right? So, they're just passing along the cost to the consumers. And I've had on my show the president of the New Jersey Utilities Association. He said, "Don't blame the people who are billing you, right? They're just the utility companies. They are not the ones who are, they're not the ones. They have to buy the energy somewhere. New Jersey used to be an energy exporter, right? We had so much energy. Right now we're in energy deficit. We have to buy it from other states. So for example, we are buying energy from West Virginia because they have a ton of energy. Unfortunately, it's coal, which is not exactly the cleanest source of energy. But Governor Murphy, he shut down natural gas, he shut down nuclear, and he really wanted offshore wind because the environmentalists said that is the cleanest source of energy. But as you know, we don't have offshore wind. He bet it all on offshore wind. We don't have that. We don't have solar. So we're in a deficit right now. We have to buy it. It's a supply and demand issue. We have to buy it for a more expensive rate. So I don't know how she's going to tell the utility companies you can't provide it for any higher than this amount when they have to buy it from other places. So it's very complex, and I'm not really sure how she's going to do it. But I think New Jersey voters were just happy to have somebody talking about it.
All right. Jeanette Hoffman, president of Marathon Public Affairs, host of On New Jersey's Energy Matters. Thank you for coming on this morning. We all need a nap now.
I certainly do. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Thank you. It is 39 degrees right now in Trenton. It's 46 degrees in northern New Jersey. There's a big disparity in temperature. That happens sometimes in the morning. And when we come back, the 2025 election may be over. So let's start the 2026 election season. Billy Prempa is a Republican from Passaic County running for Congress next year. He is coming up in 2 minutes. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Laura Jones alongside Ken Rosato, and it is 7:45. We are taking your calls at 888-658-0234. That's 888-658-0234.
Chilly this morning, but that's
cold.
what sort of happens in the fall, right?
It
We go to
does.
meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Ken, it also tends to be a little dry in the fall. And Laura, our theme of the morning show is just pointing out how our drought is continuing across New Jersey, but it's improving, especially with a lot of the heavy rainfall that we've had just in the last week. For instance, the rainfall deficit now narrowing to less than half an inch across the western half of New Jersey. It's already improved to the point where we've seen an excess of rainfall above average there along the coast. So taking us through the longer range into the middle of November, we'll see pretty average weather here across New Jersey, temperature-wise. All of that heat should be locked across the west and Midwest, and even while the dry weather stays south in places like the Deep South and into Florida, our weather will have equal chances of rain. So quite average going forward. And that's pretty much what shows up on the 7-day with decently mild weather for today, although very windy today. We cool off a bit, balance it out by Friday, start off chilly in the 30s, warm back up into the upper 50s, which is average, and then turn milder still for Saturday. I think the big change will be the sudden drop in temperatures about 5 or 6 days from now, putting us in the afternoon highs in the 40s and starting off our day each morning in the low 30s. So a hard freeze is coming. If your tomato plants haven't survived us yet, I don't think they're going to make it into next week, especially with that cold beyond the milder trend. So again, it's we've been watching these afternoons warm up into the mid 60s and with a couple rounds of rain, keeping some of that heat into the overnight. But I think that comes to an end shortly, especially as we head into next week with a real chill setting up for the start of next week. Ken and Laura.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. Wow, the chill. Because right now it's just balmy outside at 39 degrees, I tell you. All right, we appreciate that. We will check back with you, Mike. 39 in Trenton. It's 46, though, northern New Jersey, and that does tend to happen. Down in Vineland, we have 39 as well right now. In terms of traffic, a lot of the traffic cameras, maybe they don't like the cold because they're not functioning today.
My core temperature drops. I don't function.
the
cameras aren't functioning either.
We have a lot of Florida in our blood. That's
so
why.
much Florida.
Yes, exactly.
I need some Florida sunshine right now. Especially with it getting dark so early.
Exactly. But 495, we have an issue. We don't have the camera. It's down right now, but there's a crash on 495 eastbound west of Pleasant Avenue, Union City, with all 3 lanes blocked. So this is a mess making your way into the Lincoln Tunnel. So now we're told it's about a 45 to 50-minute crossover time in the Lincoln Tunnel. Try to choose an alternate. Holland, much better for you right now. We also have a crash on 46 westbound by Browertown Road, Little Falls, with 1 lane. The left lane is blocked. And a water main break now on 124 eastbound in Union Township by Route 638. The right lane is closed there. That's causing about a 2-mile backup. Let's take a look, if we can, at Route 3. So this is Route 3. Look at that. Bumper to bumper right now, Route 3, and this is westbound in the vicinity of Broad Street, Clifton, all the way to Browertown Road in Little Falls. And remember, there's an issue in Little Falls right now. That's by Route 46. So 346 in Little Falls, right by the merge. There's something going on. That's backing things up all the way to Route 3. That's about... Oh, this is the turnpike. I'm sorry. But nonetheless, the info that I told you is correct. So from 3 to 46, about a 2 to 3 mile backup right now, making your way in that direction. Now we do have what you see on your screen, New Jersey Turnpike southbound vicinity of Delaware Memorial Bridge. This is as you go down toward Philly. This is by Carneys Point Township. 1 mile delay due to an incident on the bridge itself. You can see things barely moving right now. Again, this is down by Carneys Township, making your way across the Delaware Memorial Bridge into Philadelphia, and you can see about a mile of backup right now. Your other Hudson River approaches, we told you about the Holland and the Lincoln GWB upper and lower right now. It's not moving too badly. It's about 25 to 30, 80-95 approach. You can see a little bit better on the upper level on the right than the lower level, and that is your check of Garden State traffic.
Well, New Jersey's race for governor, it's history in the books. Mikey Sherrill beating Jack Ciattarelli by 13 percentage points. Now, of course, we are on to the midterm elections. 2026, it is on. And we're going to be looking at one of the more hotly contested U.S. House races in New Jersey, and that is the 9th Congressional District. Joining us now is Billy Primpa, the Republican candidate who is running for the seat next year. Good morning, Billy. Good to see you.
Good morning. It's a great time to see you as well.
Yeah, we don't take any breaks. I mean, listen, we had a few hours when, last night's election night. We figured let's just start the 2026 season. We're good at it.
We're on. We're off. Well, let's get your thoughts and feelings about the outcome of last night's race. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
The polls got it so wrong. We were talking about this race being neck and neck, thinking it's going to be a really, really long night. But boy, 13 percentage points. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it was a combination of things that led to the outcome that we got today. And I would like to start by saying that I believe that propaganda was extremely successful in getting Mikey Sherrill over the edge. In this specific race, I was working at the polls over in School 10 here in Patterson. It was one of the locations that was hit with a bomb scare. There were several bomb scares that happened very early on at the beginning of the election, and most of them happened in very strong Democrat-held districts, which I believe led to a tremendous turnout from Democrats. I think that motivated a lot of them to get to the polls, believing that their vote should be counted. That combined with a lot of the messaging that Mikey Sherrill consistently put on television, Jack's going to jack up prices 10%, which straight up wasn't true. And the fact that the House, that our government has still been shut down since the beginning of the month due to the SNAP benefits, healthcare situation, I think all of that culminated into the results that we got. Like, I was looking at some numbers here, and it shows that in terms of race demographics in the state of New Jersey, 68% of Latinos ended up voting for Sherrill, 83% of Asians voted for Sherrill, 94% of the African American community also voted for Mikey Sherrill. So I believe that the SNAP benefits, the combination of bashing Trump nonstop, and the miscommunication and misinformation, I should say, that was put out from her campaign consistently towards the end really led to the outcome we saw. Because in terms of ground game, I don't believe it was there. I think it was all about messaging.
How much do you think the fact that Jack Ciattarelli felt like at times he was just dipping his toe in the MAGA water and dipping his toe in the I'm not MAGA, do you think that in order to gain MAGA supporters, you need to be all in? And even if you're a Republican and not a MAGA supporter, the left will despise you. So you might as well be in all the way. Do you think that may have cost Jack Ciattarelli some votes? Because the people who are the MAGA supporters in the state, even though they're not a majority, they may not have been motivated to get off their butts and go out and vote.
I would say yes and no. I think Jack ran a fantastic campaign, to be completely honest. I think this was the campaign that we all put a tremendous amount of work into, and I think that the messaging was right down the middle. I think it was just enough. I think it really came down to timing, because the fact that he was able to pull so much support from several Democrat elected officials, leaders, and people across the country, pulling support from unions. It was a very strong galvanized effort from what I saw on his part. So I think that the messaging in regards to the SNAP benefits in Washington, D.C., believe it or not, played a significant role, because even when I was working the polls here, there were a lot of people that I could hear murmuring and speaking amongst themselves. Jack Ciattarelli is going to cut food stamps. No, he's not. He doesn't have the ability to do that. That's not the case. But one of the first things that really hit me the hardest is they're going to build these dang wind farms off the shores of our water. It's one of the things that really crushed me. And I bet you that's something you probably weren't even thinking about. They're probably going to continue to push that nonsense all over again. But the race, while it's done in 2025, thank you, Jack, for everything you've done. 2026 moves forward, and I'm looking to represent you guys all in Washington, D.C. in 2026.
Well, and this is the issue. So much of the gubernatorial race was about national issues and not the affordability issue here in New Jersey. As you're talking about, Mikey Sherrill said, what she's going to do day one in office is freeze your energy cost. But, it really didn't get into a lot of that. A lot of the devil's in the details about, how to make life more affordable. It was about, well, you didn't walk with your class at graduation, and you're aligned with President Trump, and that really doesn't serve the voters of New Jersey when it comes to the issues that they are going to be able to affect, where they'll be able to affect change.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like they were constantly battling attacks especially coming from the Mikey Sherrill campaign. A lot of the things that Jack said was taken completely out of context. They knew this, they didn't care, but they knew that the average voter doesn't care as well too. At a time when our economy is a little bit upside down and rocky, people are concerned. How are we going to put food on the table? How are we going to eat? And for the left to come out and just straight up lie to you and say, well, Jack's going to cut your benefits, it's just not accurate. And I think that's what led to this.
Okay. Billy Prempa, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and we will be checking in with you as the campaign is already underway, midterms 2026. So good to see you.
God bless you guys. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. Well, it is now 39 degrees at 7:59, and when we come back, how is the vote turnout in South Jersey? We're going to talk about that, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. It is 7:59. You are watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings, and we'll be right back.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
Good morning to you. 8:01, Wednesday, November 5th, 2025, the day after the hangover begins. Welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato.
And I'm Laura Jones. We're going to be taking your calls at 888-658-0234. That's 888-658-0234.
Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta. Check of the post-election Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you both, Ken and Laura. You know, starting off on this Wednesday, a little bit of a breeze and a chill in New Jersey, but the winds really pick up later today. So much so, the Weather Service has a high wind watch out for all these counties shaded in tan at the coast, and the blue counties have a wind advisory. So yeah, it gets a little breezy by the end of the day. We start off this morning, however, with a 39-degree temperature on the Green in Morristown, 37 in Sussex, 47 over in Long Branch, anticipating the very dry air that's in place to stick around until the wind shifts direction. And that will occur later on today, especially with more of those clouds that are taking over now, eventually dissipating by this afternoon. Pretty gusty winds on the way that will help create a wind chill throughout later tonight into tomorrow morning. So while the wind chill right now isn't all that impressive at 42, it gets much breezier and much colder by tomorrow afternoon. Let's take you through 11 a.m. this morning. Wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour there on LBI, 26 mile per hour gusts in Atlantic City, and the winds stay breezy all throughout this afternoon into the evening. Once we get through tonight, you see those little blips of yellow there on the map, the blotchy areas. Those are the winds in excess of 40 miles per hour. And then by tomorrow, when the wind switches direction after the front pushes through, drops temperatures a bit and keeps us cooler into our Thursday. And then it gets windy again on Friday. So a couple days where, well, nature is kind of redoing your hairstyle. Into the end of the day today, we could see highs in the mid and upper 60s. Quite warm, but again, can't really enjoy it with all that wind out there. By tomorrow afternoon, I think we'll see a breeze out of the west. We start off breezy in the morning, turn calmer by the end of the day, and then for Friday, really chilly in the morning, but see highs climb back into the upper 50s by the afternoon, and then have a little bit of rain that comes through later Friday night. These are the showers that could be out there for your Friday evening plans. It gets milder still for Saturday morning into the afternoon. Highs could get into the upper 60s, might even hit 70 in spots. There's a 69 degrees in Camden on Saturday at 3 p.m., 68 in Trenton. So really mild weather to start off our weekend, and then a few showers come in later Saturday evening, cooling us back down for Sunday. So a little bit of a mixed bag over the next few days. Some mild weather, some wind, some chilly weather, and then back to the mild in time for the weekend. We'll break it down for you with another check of your forecast and talk wind chills. See how cold it gets for Friday morning. That's coming up in just a few minutes. That Florida sunshine, I can imagine it right now. It feels nice, but that's it. We have to imagine it.
Well, you know, my grandmother would say when you talk about the fluctuations in temperature, my grandmother is, may she rest in peace, she would say, "That's how you get sick. That's how you're gonna get sick. Here, don't eat that cold. You're gonna have a stomach ache." There you go. So now she didn't talk like that, but I just had to create this image. So now we're all saying that's where he comes from.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. Thank you, Mike.
All
we appreciate
right.
it. 39 degrees right now, by the way. Just a quick check of traffic.
That's right.
Yeah, we have a crash that just popped up, Pam. Just not to surprise Pam, our director, but it just popped up on the Garden State Parkway. Just so you know, all of the traffic cameras, with maybe one or two exceptions, they were all down this morning. We don't know what's going on, but clearly somebody hacked the system. No, we don't know what's going on, but. With that. But we have a crash in the Garden State northbound, right by the border with Rockland County. So it's south of 171 Glen Road to Chestnut Ridge Road, Woodcliff Lake. All lanes are open, but that crash is definitely causing massive delays right now. Over to 46 westbound east of Broward Road, Little Falls Township. The left lane is closed due to a crash there, and we have a water main break, Route 124 eastbound by 638 in Union Township with the right lane closed right now. Route 17 southbound north of Sheridan Ave and Waldwick to North Midland Ave and Paramus is very heavy now. All lanes open, but about a 2-mile stretch causing issues. Your Hudson River approaches. The Lincoln is still 35 minutes across. Holland only 20. GWB upper and lower. Do we have that? I keep my fingers crossed because that's a different feed. No? Oh, we do.
There we go.
All right, so we have one camera working, and this is out of our hands, folks. Yeah. This is a different service that we're using, but nonetheless, you look at that. The upper level is on the right. That's moving slowly, but moving. But look at the lower level.
I always take the upper level. I always take the upper level.
Yeah, my husband does that because he wants the open air.
I want the open air.
Yeah, it makes him feel claustrophobic.
I get so claustrophobic.
Oh, so you two should join a club. You should be.
Yes, I can't take the lower level. Even if it says it's going to be faster, no. I've got to be able to see.
When he leaves Manhattan in the afternoon, if even if the Lincoln and GWB approaches, if they're both the same distance, he will take the GWB to be on the West Side Highway, so he's in open air. Same reason.
Yes, I like that route, and I don't even like taking 78 when it goes through Newark.
I think we need therapy. We'll talk.
We need a lot of it.
We need a lot of therapy. We'll deal with that.
All right, we're going to turn our attention back now to the election results. New Jersey's race for governor topping the ticket. Mikey Sherrill beating Jack Turley by 13 percentage points. But what does this mean for South Jersey and some of the other statewide races and local races that we were watching? Joining us now is Alyssa Maurice. She is the assistant director of the William J. Hughes Center for Public Policy at Stockton University. Good morning, Alyssa.
Good morning.
All right. It just seems like a few minutes ago we were talking to you last night before the polls had closed. So let's get your reaction to last night's results in the New Jersey's race for governor and what the key trends are and takeaways.
Yeah, well, going into the race, a lot of the dynamics really favored Sherrill, and Chitterelli really had an uphill climb to success here. So there were 3 key things that he needed to do. He needed to press turnout. Something that Democrats have experienced in recent cycles is lower turnout in the urban centers throughout the state, which are really Democratic strongholds. But when there's low turnout, it diminishes the impact of those winning margins there. And he did not get that. Turnout was extremely strong. he also needed to maintain the support that he had in 2021 against Murphy among moderate voters in affluent parts of the state, more traditionally Republican areas. And he did not get that. These areas tend to be a little hostile towards Trump. They were willing to vote for Ciattarelli in 2021. They did not vote for Trump in the same numbers. And it seems that Ciattarelli was not able to maintain that support. And then he also needed to widen his coalition even more because he was facing a structural deficit. There are much more Democratic voters in the state than Republicans. So he needed to widen his tent. He needed to bring in more of the Trump base, and he needed to continue the successes that Trump saw in 2024 among non-white voters, Hispanic communities. He did not get that either. They swung right back to Democrats in this election. So it was a tough night for Ciattarelli's campaign.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, what does the Republican Party do to sort of regroup and move forward? Because it feels like we know there are still millions of Republicans in the state of New Jersey, but it feels like they all just kind of stayed home. They said, we're not going to come out. We're not motivated. So what does the next statewide Republican candidate have to do to motivate the base?
Yeah, I really think, I'm not sure there's much that he could have changed. I think the national headwinds were just too strong here. Trump is not popular in the state. The president is, underwater here in New Jersey. People are not happy with the economy either. We know that a lot of the swings that we saw last fall for Trump, particularly in those working class communities, they were about the economy. And, there were questions over whether Republicans could maintain that trend, without Trump on the ballot. But I think it's clear from the results tonight that those votes were about the economy. And we know that voters in New Jersey are still not happy with the current state of the economy and the cost of living. And, I think Cheryl clearly successfully tied a lot of that to Trump and Republican leadership at the national level. So those were really strong headwinds that a Republican was going into in this election cycle. And also, I think, it was a tall task for him to widen his coalition here in the state. It's a delicate balance to try to maintain those moderate Republicans and also bring in the MAGA Republicans and the Trump base. And that is the line he was trying to walk through this campaign. That's a big gamble, and I think everyone was waiting to see if it was going to be possible. But that's a really tough task for any Republican to do.
Alyssa, just one other question here. You talk about how the national narrative is what influenced this race, but people are not happy with the economy. That's a state issue where the Democrats have control of the governor's office, the legislature. They have control of the state Senate. And typically, as trends go, no matter what the national look is, it swings back and forth. And we've had 8 years of Democratic control in the governor's office, longer than that in the legislature, and it didn't swing back. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because one of the patterns that a lot of folks have been talking about in this election cycle is that New Jerseyans have this trend where they tend not to vote for the same party for a third consecutive term. But I think another historical trend that was often overlooked is that New Jersey voters also tend to vote in opposition to the party that's in the White House. And that opposition party tends to see a turnout boost. And so I think those are the dynamics we were really working with last night. It was clearly an election where the opposition was coming out in full force to the party in the White House. I think that's something that was a bit overlooked going into this. And then on the economy, I think that's really the framing that was the competing framing in this campaign, right? So Cheryl was tying the economic issues to tariffs coming out of the Trump administration, to funding cuts and freezes coming down from the federal administration. The suspension of the Gateway Tunnel was certainly a gift for her and helped her campaign. And then Ciattarelli really was trying to tie it to Murphy and Democratic leadership at the state level, particularly on energy policy. And I think we've seen that Trump is just much more divisive than Murphy, and that framing of trying to connect it to Murphy just didn't succeed.
Alyssa, we got a hard out, so we got to stop you. But thank you very much, Assistant Director of the William J. Hughes Center for Public Policy at Stockton University. We appreciate you coming on. And you're watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back.
Hey, New Jersey, want to choose how you live as you age? Tune into AARP New Jersey's new show, The Power of Us, the show that celebrates aging with dignity, purpose, and joy. From protecting yourself against fraud, to staying healthy and aging in place, to finding purpose through volunteering, we've got the tools, tips, and stories to help you thrive. Join us on ONNJ and discover the power of us.
And welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. It is a Wednesday morning. Had to stop and think for a second.
Yeah. Well, because we've been going nonstop.
The days just roll
Tuesday.
one into another. It could be Thursday, Friday, for all we know at this point.
Sunday, Monday.
Yes, 8:15 right now. In fact, I'm Ken Rosato and Laura Jones. Not usually on the morning show, so we appreciate you being here.
Well, it's a special day, the day after the election.
Man, but
and we were here all night, so might as well.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take calls, 888-658-0234. Weigh in on what happened last night. Was this what you wanted and expected, or was it a total shocker to you?
Yep. Partly cloudy this morning, becoming cloudier throughout the day. We're going to go over to meteorologist Mike Favetta to talk a little bit more about the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you both, Ken and Laura. Ken and Laura, speaking of shocked, I was a little shocked to see you both in the same place this morning when I logged in. I thought, oh no, what happened? Were they live all night?
We changed clothes.
We were locked in the studio. We couldn't get out.
And we're back.
But yet you didn't miss much with the weather because it was a calm overnight, but there's some gusty winds on the way for this afternoon and this evening. Really, really strong winds taking over by the end of the day. So much so there's a wind advisory for New Jersey and a high wind watch at the shore for those gusts that could approach 50 miles per hour. What you see here are some morning birds and bugs on the radar screen. Nothing going on across our skies. Yes, the radar also picks up things in the atmosphere other than raindrops, also smoke, particulate matter, but we'll stay nice and dry for the first part of the day, bringing back mostly sunny skies into this afternoon and maybe a sprinkle across northern New Jersey this evening, but plan on dry weather, especially with the winds being the headline today as temperatures warm into the mid and upper 60s down the shore under mostly sunny skies. So it really gets breezy later on. Hey, speaking of wind, there's going to be a pretty substantial wind chill by this time Friday morning, waking up with what will feel like 27 degrees up in Sussex, 32 in Hackensack, and a Friday morning wind chill of 28 in Mount Holly. That will feel really chilly, but it's what happens after and the big warm up on Saturday that brings our highs to feel like the 70s across New Jersey. So pretty warm weather that will follow. It's that chill that doesn't last very long, but it just comes in, let you know that fall is still here with those little bouts of cool weather. As this shower activity stays primarily to our north today, maybe Bergen County gets clipped with this passing sprinkle later on this evening. It's all about the milder trend for the weekend as highs climb into the upper 60s, maybe near 70 with some sunshine on Saturday. There is some light spotty showers around though for Sunday, cooling us off into the mid 60s, but there's a big chill headed our way for Monday and Tuesday of next week. I'll tell you all about it on the 7-day forecast. Ken and Laura, that's coming up.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. And by the way, we often mention Whenever it's sort of holiday time and whatnot, some of the airports have their parking lots fill up. So something must be up this week, because I'm now noticing that they're starting to report several of the airport parking lots are at like 97% capacity. Did I miss something? Is there a holiday that I'm missing? Election Day, is that a holiday?
Well, it's No School November in New Jersey.
Oh.
I call it No School November because you have the teachers' conventions, you have Veterans Day,
Veterans Day,
Election
exactly.
Day, Veterans Day, right? Mm-hmm. So people might be going away if schools were closed yesterday, and then you have the teachers' conferences.
There you go.
And
that's exactly it. See, I knew if I asked you to, because you're both parents, you would know this. So
No
right now we're
School
told
November.
JFK specifically, their biggest lot, which is the Terminal 4 parking lot, which is like for 8,000 cars or so, it is now at 97, 98% occupancy. And we tell you this because if you are driving the long distance, you want to have a reservation for parking in advance, because if you get there, it's going to be all full. So make sure you book parking in advance. Mike, thank you so much. I don't want to hold you up. I know you got to do your weather preps for the next hit. And then we also have a crash now on the New Jersey Turnpike, the Hudson County Extension. Take a look at this by the Newark Bay Bridge. That is a bumper to bumper. I love this shot, by the way. It's such a beautiful camera shot. Such a pretty bridge, too. But you could see not so pretty being stuck in 5-mile-an-hour traffic right now. And that's what they have, Newark Bay Bridge right now. And that is all due to a crash westbound just east of the Newark Bay Bridge in Newark, with all lanes blocked. So once you make your way over that bridge, it is a dead stop. You're going to have to make a detour. We have utility pole down Route 17 northbound, and that is north of Glen Avenue, Paramus. All lanes are closed there, and there was a crash on the Garden State northbound south of 171 Glen Road to Chestnut Ridge Road, Woodcliff Lake. All lanes are open. That's up by the Rockland County border. Water main break 124 eastbound by County Road 638 Union, with the right lane closed, and your Hudson River approaches. Now the Lincoln is still 35 minutes. Holland still a good bet, 20 to 25. 8095 approach GWB heavy on the lower level on the left, still slow on the upper level on the right, but it at least is moving.
All right, and we are continuing to break down what yesterday's gubernatorial results mean for voters across the Garden State and coalitions that helped shape the outcome. Joining us now is Mary Thomas. She is CEO of Faith and Freedom Coalition. Her organization works to educate and mobilize people of faith to make their voices heard on the issues that matter most, from family and community to faith-based values and civic engagement. Mary, it's good to see you. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Laura and Ken. It's great to be here.
So did the candidate who won last night, is that candidate a candidate that is more popular with community and faith-based values?
No, she is not. I think what we saw yesterday was there's a structural advantage for Democrats in New Jersey and a registration advantage about 860,000. So we, unfortunately, faith-based voters and the candidate that aligned most with faith values, they were not able to overcome that structural advantage this time.
Now we saw last year that many of the Latino voters in some of the larger urban centers of New Jersey went for Trump. But did we see sort of a backslide back to the Democrat candidate this year in this off-year election?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing, absolutely, Ken, as you said, it is that all Americans really are having a tough time with cost of living, just the economy. It's really been tough for everyone, and working families and middle class particularly. So I think we saw a reflection of that within the Hispanic community. We haven't seen the exact, breakdown of where Hispanic voters fell, but overall, looking at the exit polls, it's clear that the economy was a big, big issue. And our side was not able to message well enough on that and what we would do to improve people's lives. And that really is what made the difference here.
Yeah, well, can you talk just a little bit about the issues that you heard from local faith leaders leading up to the elections, and what concerns were they talking about, and how did that resonate, through the candidates, and what voters ultimately decided?
Yeah, so the concerns that we heard were concerns about their children in schools and, being able to get their kids prepared for, having a successful life. But overwhelmingly, the number one concern was the economy, being able to provide for their families, being able to have, being able to afford a house and transportation to get to work, the energy costs. That really was a big driver of what we were seeing, even within the faith-based community. That, if you can't make your everyday expenses, then sometimes some of the other issues fall to the background.
Yeah, I want to follow up on something you talked about when it comes to education, because a lot of what Mikey Sherrill was talking about, LGBTQ, what is taught in the schools, and Jack Tittarelli was, talking about how, he didn't want that. One of the things, I had children, have children, and some had some learning challenges, and as I was struggling to find a good place for them, somebody told me, Laura, go faith-based. Finds a faith-based education. And it isn't always about the faith. My daughter attended an all-girls Catholic school. It wasn't about the faith. It was about how their agenda was more focused on the fundamentals, from handwriting to making sure that you have that solid foundation. So can you talk a little bit about, how faith and education, how those two kind of go hand in hand, and how those students oftentimes are better prepared after high school and they have more options?
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly correct. We've seen with Catholic schools and many faith-based schools, if you look at the data, they're outperforming the public schools. And part of the reason, as you said, is because they are actually focused on teaching the basics, reading, writing, math, the things that we focused on when we were younger and in school. And unfortunately, many of our public schools have gone away from that and have been talking about social issues instead. I don't think that's the way to go. I work with have worked with a great faith-based school in Nevada, and they have gotten their kids in a very impoverished area of Nevada. They have gotten their kids 2 grade levels ahead. So they're doing remarkable things. And there are many, many more churches out there that want to start schools. And that's one of the things that we're looking at, working to help pastors and churches build schools in their churches so that parents have more options.
Yeah, when you get some school districts that are so woke in this country that they say things like math is racist. And there were several school districts, we did this story a couple of months ago, where they said that traditional math is racist, that if a kid says 2 + 2 is 9 and they could explain how they got there, that's acceptable. Well, that may be acceptable in somebody's insane mind, but how does that help a child when they get out in the real world and they're working for a CPA firm if they say, well, no, I was taught that 2 and 2 is 9. This kind of craziness does not help unify the country.
No, absolutely. I mean, my husband and I experienced it ourselves with our son, who's 12 years old, but it was a couple years ago. My husband is white. I am not. And basically what his school was about to implement was DEI. And they were, I said, we had a conversation with the headmaster. You're basically saying that one side of his family, the white side, they're oppressors, right? And then the brown side, like me, we can't do anything. Right. And what good is that teaching children that? And it's not the truth. My parents came to this country in 1972. They built a business, a medical practice from the ground up. They succeeded. Everyone has an opportunity in the United States. We should not be telling children of any race that they're disadvantaged or that they're oppressors.
Now, you got me. You just described my life. I'm Argentinian Italian, so I just fight in my own head. But we appreciate you. Mary Thomas, CEO of the Faith and Freedom Coalition. It is always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks. Great to be here.
You bet. It is now 39. No, we're up to 42 degrees in
it's
Trenton,
inching up
and
a
we
little
have
bit.
46 degrees in northern New Jersey. Just the sunrise is making that happen. When we come back, are you ready for some football? High school football. We're going to shift gears from the election and talk about America's favorite sport.
All right, the phone lines are open. We're going to be taking your calls at 888-658-0234. That's 888-658-0234. Stay with us as we continue on New Jersey.
Hey, New Jersey, want to choose how you live as you age? Tune into AARP New Jersey's new show, The Power of Us, the show that celebrates aging with dignity, purpose, and joy. From protecting yourself against fraud, to staying healthy and aging in place, to finding purpose through volunteering, we've got the tools, tips, and stories to help you thrive. Join us on ONNJ and discover the power of us.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, November 5th, 43 degrees at 8:30. I'm Laura Jones alongside Ken Rosato, and welcome back to ONNJ Mornings.
It's going to be partly cloudy this morning, becoming cloudier through the day, though. A little breezy, too. Kind of, you get that little dampy, raw-ish feel, mid-60s.
Feels like fall.
Yeah, even
Feels
though
like
you
fall.
think mid-60s is good, Ken, but when you get that breeze and the dampness, well, I'm just kvetching.
Yeah.
That's a good New Yorkish term, right? Kvetching. Let's go to meteorologist Mike Favetta, who he has a PhD in kvetch. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
You learn
now
something
know.
new every day.
Mike is amazing.
Yes, from the State University in New Jersey. It's a New Jersey thing too, you know. And we kvetch a lot here too. In New
That's
Jersey.
where they teach you
But,
about Taylor ham and pork roll.
Pork roll.
So yeah,
it's true. It's true. You get the complete curriculum in the state, and with so much clear weather today.
I'm sorry, that's cracking me up. Curriculum of pork roll.
No matter what you call it, no matter what you call it today, your hands will be a little cold while eating it without the gloves, because there is a chill around this morning. Even though there's a few clouds around in northern New Jersey, they're quickly dissipating, and we're back to sunshine for most of the day. Oh, there's Nino again, warming up into the afternoon. That will take us into the mid-60s. In case you missed, you can head over to Instagram, catch the bit from earlier. 67 in Hamilton, 67 in Egg Harbor City. Plenty of mild weather around today, but it's going to be windy with wind gusts as high as 50 miles per hour before the day is through. So if you see some leaves on the trees that are still there this morning, probably not going to be there by this time tomorrow morning. At least it'll be on the ground, given all of those gusty winds. Thanks to the clear sky that's around today and a lovely southerly breeze this morning, we're starting to see a warming trend, but that turns very windy by day's end as highs go as warm as 67 in Trenton, even up toward Hackensack and Newark. Pretty uniform temperatures across New Jersey, thanks to that southwesterly wind. The gusts today will be as high as near 50 miles per hour. A couple showers and sprinkles maybe later on tonight that quickly race on by, and then we're back to a breezy start to the day tomorrow, but a colder feel with a little bit of a wind chill. I think tomorrow afternoon cools off substantially. It'll only hit in the 40s, and it'll stay feeling much cooler into Friday before we see another surge in temperatures for the weekend as a warm front passes by. You can see it more clearly with the Futurecast. There's our warm front providing the milder weather today. Cold front sweeps on through tonight, dries us out with gusty breezes for overnight into tomorrow morning. Then we're kind of calm throughout the afternoon and evening on your Thursday. We start off our day on Friday with some clouds and then end with a quick passing shower that'll give us another round of wet weather to start off the weekend. But another warm front pushes on by for Saturday, bringing our highs back to near 70 by Saturday afternoon before our next front drops the temperature again. So it's the seesaw effect. Every 48 hours, we have a big swing in temperatures. Enjoy the mild climb today, the cool down over the next 2 days, and then warm again for Saturday and Sunday. I think the big chill returns by Monday and Tuesday, and it's here to stay with some really chilly weather on the way into early next week. Even down the shore, anticipating very gusty winds today with that high wind watch into tonight, and then throughout the day tomorrow, winds relax, warming on Friday and Saturday. Highs get as warm as, again, near 70 across portions of central and southern New Jersey, and then cooling again by Monday and Tuesday. So it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster over the next few days, but we are ready. We're New Jerseyans, right? Our pork roll, our Taylor ham, it doesn't get cold.
You know what? Here, let's really do it. Let's go between gravy and sauce. We could have, I would throw tomatoes at the screen. I'll tell you, I'm a little nervous.
I'm staying out of that one. I'm staying out of that race.
I just got some threats on social media. I better just lay back here. All right, thank you, Mike. We'll check in with you. By the way, we love when you accidentally have the shots of Nino on the screen. That makes my morning. Yeah. That's a good oops. We'll take that oops any day of the week.
That's right.
So, all right, pal. Thank you very much. It is now 42 degrees. It fluctuates. It goes 43, 42, and that's in Trenton. But up here in northern New Jersey, it's Trenton. It is 50. My mother-in-law is from Trenton. She lives in Florida now, but she always says that when she mentions it, she says, we got to go to a diner in Trenton. I'm like, oh my God, Trenton.
Well, I'm north of Trenton. I worked in Trenton. It was very funny when I was first starting out in this industry. They couldn't figure out, because I, grew up, born in Kentucky, Louisville, then moved to Florida, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with my voice until they finally, when I started talking about Ewan Township, like you're dropping your G's. It's Ewing, going, coming, eating, fixing.
Trenton.
What are fixing to do now?
Trenton. Well, as long as you don't say Nurk.
No, I don't.
All right, there we go. But everyone else does, so it'd be fine. Pork roll, Taylor ham, pork roll, Taylor ham. All right, let's move on to traffic really fast. We have a crash now on the New Jersey Turnpike Hudson County Extension. This is westbound east of Newark Bay Bridge in Newark. Take a look at this mess if we have that camera by the Newark Bay Bridge. It's just very, very heavy. You can see an emergency vehicle on the right.
I mean, there's nothing even coming the other direction. It's shut.
Yeah, so that's an absolute. Well, maybe we got a couple of cars coming. Maybe they did reopen something because they had that vehicle on the right lane, by the right shoulder. See on the upper left?
Yeah.
So it looks like they're trying to make their way, but we'll keep you updated on that.
Oh, I do see. It's starting to open up.
Yeah. Utility pole down also, by the way, Route 17 northbound, north of Glen Ave in Paramus. All lanes are closed there. Garden State has a crash causing issues. Northbound, that's by the Rockland County border up by 171. That's your last exit before you get into New York State. Your Hudson River approaches right now. Lincoln Tunnel all morning long has been 35 minutes. Pause. Yes. I want to say Harlem, Hudson. I'm thinking train lines. The Holland Tunnel is a good bet. It's only 20 minutes, and the GWB upper and lower level has been kind of messy. And there it is again. Lower level on the left, upper level on the right. Neither one moving very well. 35 to 40 minute crossover time is what we have right now.
All right. Well, with the election dividing communities, we want to take a break from election coverage. Breaks my heart as a political person. But we do want to talk about something that brings communities together every fall here in New Jersey and really everywhere, and that's high school football. There is an exciting new partnership that is connecting the game to something that is just as important, and that is financial education.
Kearney Bank has just announced that it will serve as an official supporter of the New Jersey Super Football Conference. That's the largest high school football league in the nation. And through this partnership, Kearney Bank will not only have a presence at games and on the SFC's new streaming platform, but they'll also bring financial literacy programs to every school in the conference.
Right. And joining us now to talk more about this is Jack Asante. He's Senior Vice President and Director of Government and Vertical Banking at Kearney Bank. Jack, welcome to the show. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Jack Anastasi, that's I think I had you on the show once before, did I not? Or did
I don't I don't believe so.
Because I recognize the last name. That's why we must have had another Anastasia on. What inspired?
Not a very popular name.
One of your cousins, possibly, right? What inspired Kearney Bank? It's a great bank, great local bank too here in New Jersey, branches all over the place. What inspired you guys to partner with the New Jersey Super Football Conference, and what makes the partnership so special?
So at Kearney Bank, we're always looking for ways to serve the communities that we do business in, always looking to participate in whatever events are in those communities. It's a funny story how the partnership came about. John Wiley from the SFC reached out to our chief banking officer, Anthony Bellata. He recognized the name. Anthony's son was an all-state football player at Cedar Grove. So Anthony asked us to look into it. And when I met with John, he was doing his presentation and he was flipping the pages, and he turned the page and there was a picture of my nephew, Ricky Anastasia, who played football at St. Joe's Regional. To this day, John swears he didn't do it on purpose, but I kind of think he did.
It was meant to be. That's a good thing. And so how does Kearney Bank then see this partnership fitting into the broader mission of community engagement? Because I know you folks are everywhere. I used to live right near Cedar Grove. I know that town very, very well. I used to live in North Caldwell. And it's just beautiful to see the Kearney Bank logo everywhere. I used to live near Kearney also in Belleville. So I know your bank very, very well. And how do you see it fitting into the broader mission of community engagement?
Well, thank you for that. So, it's in several different ways the partnership is growing. So we attend a lot of the football games, interacting with the community, getting our name out there, meeting parents and students face to face. The first event we attended was the media day at MetLife Stadium, where we got to meet with hundreds of students, athletic directors from all the schools in the SFC. That was a tremendous day. And it's not just the football season. It's not just the Super Football Conference. So throughout the year, we'll be providing financial literacy to these schools within the football conference, Super Football Conference. And even when in the spring, I believe it is, the fastest growing sport in the United States, I believe, is girls flag football. And we'll also be sponsoring that as well. We'll be a supporter there too.
Yeah, can you talk just a little bit about, when it comes to financial literacy? I have one senior in high school, two that are in college, but certain things that aren't really taught in high school, sometimes it's an elective. So can you talk about how financial literacy connects to sports lessons, teamwork, discipline, overcoming challenges?
So it's interesting you bring that up. About 10 years ago, I started doing a class at one of our local high schools in Hudson County. And I was, quite frankly, shocked at the lack of knowledge about basic things, checking accounts, savings accounts, how to get a credit card. Most of the students had questions about student loans because they were seniors, the class that I was speaking to. And, I think this is so important that that our students learn about, basic things about how to open up a checking account, how to save money. A big thing now, they're all aware of identity theft and fraud, and how that can affect their credit scores and their financial well-being. So, we think it's so important to get out there and give this information to our schools and to our students so that they're prepared for life going forward.
Yeah, that is really key, and it's sad that that's not an automatic thing taught in the schools today. With just about a minute left, let me ask you about specifics with kids. It's one thing to teach them how to save, but it's another thing to teach them about work ethic and things like that. And that's something that used to be automatic or taught at home, and it just seems that too many kids are in the TikTok generation and just think money will fall from the sky if they just do a TikTok video. So how important is that as part? Right. How important is that in the comprehensive instruction of kids?
So, we kind of stress, and when I talk to parents, I stress to them to share their information with their children at home. So, show them your credit card bills, show them your mortgage and how these things work and the amount of money that it costs to provide the lifestyle that they live and what they're going to be facing as they go forward. We stress that. And I think you go back to the teamwork part of it, being involved with the sports aspect. It's so important. You learn teamwork and you learn about discipline and sacrifice and a common goal for your team. So we just thought it was such a perfect fit around around the Super Football Conference and the financial literacy piece. For us, it was just such a great way to give back to our community.
It's a perfect symbiotic relationship. Jack Anastasi, Senior Vice President, Director of Government and Vertical Banking at Kearney Bank. We appreciate you coming on. Very valuable lessons. Thank you for coming here this morning.
Thank you very much for your time.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. It is, what is the temperature?
8:42, and we got 42 degrees.
Partly cloudy this morning, becoming cloudier throughout the day. Stay with us here on New Jersey. I'm Laura Jones, alongside Ken Rosato.
Be right back.
Hey, New Jersey, want to choose how you live as you age? Tune into AARP New Jersey's new show, The Power of Us, the show that celebrates aging with dignity, purpose, and joy. From protecting yourself against fraud, to staying healthy and aging in place, to finding purpose through volunteering, we've got the tools, tips, and stories to help you thrive. Join us on ONNJ and discover the power of us.
All right, welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. Ken Rosato and Laura Jones, 8:45, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast.
Hey, Ken, we've got a beautiful afternoon ahead, but windy conditions develop by the end of the day. That's why there's a high wind watch for Bergen and Essex and Hudson counties. West of there, you have a wind advisory. Well, with temperatures today that climb into the upper 60s, it'll feel lovely with the amount of sunshine we get through this afternoon. Maybe a few extra clouds developing there toward Newton, 62 as your high, but it's the wind that takes over. That gets very breezy by the end of the day. Not much heat coming in the next 2 weeks. All of that is locked out in the west and Midwest and even beyond the dry weather down south. We have equal chances of rain going forward through at least November 15th. So the next few days featuring chances of rain, even though we've seen some very dry weather over the last few weeks. The last week or so has definitely made up for that with our quick rounds of rain. Could see another quick shower later or sprinkle later on, as well as Friday, but more so it's the wind tonight that leads us into a chilly start to the day tomorrow. Mild again for Saturday with highs, could be up near 70 in spots, and then Sunday sees a little bit of a cool down with a big chill settling in for Monday and Tuesday. We've got beautiful weather all around, very fall-like, very breezy, going into the next few days. So hang on to your hats, Ken, because Laura, it will be whipping by the afternoon.
A good thing I stopped wearing hats.
I was going to say, not a good hair day. Not a good hair day.
All right, Mike. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. We should go right now, just to quickly mention, again, the different airports around the region. Make sure you check to see if the parking lots are available, because we were talking about that a lot of people took off. They have
Veterans Day,
et cetera. Yeah. And we're seeing that JFK, their parking lots are full. So if you drive to the airport to catch a flight out of town, make sure you have a reserved parking space. Otherwise, just take mass transit to the airport. It's just as easy. Utility pulled down on Route 17 northbound by Glen Avenue and Paramus. All lanes closed, and your Hudson River approaches right now. Lincoln and Holland both reporting 25 to 30 minutes. GWB is now about 35 to 40 minutes in. And at 8:47, we continue our AARP New Jersey election coverage. And we're doing this kind of post-election, of course, breaking down what yesterday's results mean for communities across New Jersey and the policies that affect them most.
Joining us now is Mary Saccone, Director of Policy at Disability Rights New Jersey. She is a leading advocate for the rights and inclusion of people with disabilities and has been a strong voice on protecting Medicaid and ensuring access to essential services across the state. Mary, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So can we just talk a little bit about yesterday's election results, your immediate reaction, and what you think this outcome could mean for people with disabilities here in New Jersey?
Well, I think it's hard to say exactly. There's going to be a lot of issues that are going to have to be addressed with HR 1. And it's going to have a big impact on the state budget. HR 1 is going to require is going to cost New Jersey a lot of Medicaid dollars and Medicaid services. Now, with the election going forward, Governor-elect Cheryl has talked about how she's going to address, HR 1 and trying to protect the most vulnerable in going forward. But it remains to be seen because there's only so many dollars that are going to be available. We're leading a coalition to try to educate lawmakers on ways to minimize the impact on the most vulnerable in terms of trying to make sure that people who are subject to the community engagement / work requirements of HR 1 when they go into effect in December 2026, to make sure that they are not cut from Medicaid solely because they didn't provide the documentation.
Yeah.
And we've written.
No, I'm sorry to step on you. You can continue, Mary. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, we have my organization and our coalition has written to the state officials about ways to try to minimize that, such as taking, gathering data, work data, income data from sources that they already have so that they know that they're already working, they're meeting the income requirements in terms of showing community engagement, so that they don't have to show that. So it's automatically given, and that way they don't get cut because they don't provide the documentation, but the state already has that documentation to know that they're already meeting those requirements. Things like that can be done, one, to minimize the people that are being cut off who are eligible, but who would otherwise be eligible but are being cut off because they didn't fill out the requirements, and two, also to cut down on the burdensome bureaucratic stuff that the state has to do, which costs the state as well.
And Medicaid, for instance, just one example, that's 40% plus, a little over 40% of the New Jersey state budget right now. That's a massive amount of money, but with the new federal requirements, that I'm sure is causing headaches for an awful lot of people. All of a sudden, you just see your benefits stop, thinking, what did I do wrong?
Exactly. And, we're not talking about people who are have a lot of options. We're talking about people who the Medicaid expansion was for adults that are up to 135% or 38% of poverty. That's not a large number, especially in New Jersey. We have people who are disabled, who are on SSI, who are, Medicaid takes care of covers 50% of the children in New Jersey. So we're talking about very vulnerable people, and cutting their Medicaid services is going to be devastating for them.
Right. I mean,
also,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, when that's another question I was going to ask you. People think Medicaid, older people, but you talk about, younger people aging out of once they turn 18, the SSI, SSDI, a lot of those acronyms that are thrown out, how they are affected. And, people trying to navigate this. The services are available, but trying to cut through the red tape and understand what is owed to you, what you need to register for, when you need to register for. that alone can become a full-time job trying to figure things out. You know, as a parent who has aging parents and, you know, children, it's a lot to cut through. So as Mikey Sherrill starts to, you know, begins to look at her first 100 days, what are some of the things that you would like her to focus on to help those most vulnerable?
Oh, there's so many. But yeah, one of the things is, you know, you've got you're talking about when your child turns 18, or in New Jersey 21, once they age out of the school. For people with disabilities, they age out of special education and into the adult system. Well, there's a big gap in services once they hit the adult services. So they call it the cliff, cliff service, basically, because there's not as many services once you get out of special education in schools. So to try to make sure that that doesn't happen and that there are appropriate services. And then you're talking about the other end for families who have elderly who are now living at home but need services. Medicaid is the major funder of home and community-based services for people who want to stay in their home as they get older. Or if they need to go into a nursing home, Medicaid is the biggest funder for that. Without Medicaid, that is really going to hurt those people. And one of the big optional home and community-based services are optional services. So if the state has to cut services, one of the first things they always cut is home and community-based services, which forces people into nursing homes, which is actually more expensive than providing.
This is the thing.
Exactly.
This is the point, right? You know, you fight for services for your children so that when they turn 18, 21, they're more self-sufficient, so they don't have to go into group homes. You have aging parents, you want to keep them in their home as long as possible, but the system is almost creating a way that it's pushing them to where it's going to cost so much more.
It's setting it up for failure, too, because you can only have so many people working a floor at a nursing home. You have 30 patients and only 5 nurses or aides. It's a pretty difficult task.
It is, and there's only so many beds in the state, and people don't want to live in nursing homes. They want to live in the home that they have lived their entire lives. 100%. They want to live with their families, and it is much less expensive to keep them in their homes. So, but if the state has to cut services, they can't cut nursing home services because it's a required mandatory service under federal law. Home and community-based services is what they call optional, so they can cut that. But it's going to cost the state more money because nursing homes are more expensive than keeping people in their homes. And that's what we need to really focus on and try to protect people so that they can continue to live in their homes and live in their communities with their families and friends.
Yeah.
And we're seeing numbers, I mean, we're seeing the next generation aging now, getting to that point. It's blossoming in terms of numbers. This is not getting smaller, this is getting larger. So we really need to get together and figure out a solution ASAP, because 10 years from now, you're going to have an aging population that's much larger than it currently is.
People are living longer,
Yeah, they sure are.
With advances in pharmaceuticals and treatment.
Well, you look at the generation right now, it's the baby boomers who are now hitting that point. And my generation, which is Generation X, we are a much smaller number of people. So it's going to be really problematic, but there's going to be a lot of need for services for the elderly going forward.
Yeah. So looking ahead, can you just talk a little bit about what hope when it comes to where New Jersey is headed, when it comes to inclusion, accessibility, equity for people with disabilities? You know, people in that sandwich generation like us, we're X generations. You know, we have people who are aging. You know, what can we do now? You know, to better prepare. If you have people also, you know, with disabilities who need to be protected.
Well, I've been in this business for 27 years. I've been doing this a long time, and I will say that New Jersey has come a long way in terms of inclusion for people with disabilities. People are being included in schools more, and they're being placed in more inclusive settings. And they find that if people are included in schools, then they spend more of their lifetime included in the community. The rise of group homes and different options besides developmental centers or psychiatric hospitals has been phenomenal since I've started doing this work. And again, at the other end, people are receiving more home and community-based services so they can live in their homes as they get older. So there has been a big improvement in inclusion. However, we've got a long way to go. And it's really important, and that's something we've been fighting for many years, because inclusion means participation in society. It means being in, working in competitive integrated employment. It
100%.
means being part of your community, going to the local churches,
and not just warehoused, and not being warehoused. You want to be part. That's the whole point of life, and that's what we want to strive for. I didn't mean to cut you short, Mary, only because we're at the end of the show. But Mary Saccone, Director of Policy at Disability Rights New Jersey, you do such a great job for so many people who need you. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Well, thank you for having me.
You bet. And that is ONNJ Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday post-election special show coverage. Laura, thank you so much for last night and today for all the coverage and for being here this morning bright and early.
It's New Jersey's Super Bowl, New Jersey's race for governor, and we have a new governor-elect, Mikey Sherrill. So there'll be a lot more to talk about in the days and weeks ahead
That's
as
right.
we transition.
We will see you tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. with lots more coverage. Thanks for watching ONNJ Jersey Mornings. Have a good day.